Recently, the highly anticipated games saw the Indiana Fever fall to the Las Vegas Aces 78-74. Although Caitlin Clark was anticipated to, as the Fever's main player, shine, she didn't do well enough, psychologically and physically for the whole game. When annoyance about the temperature increased, Kelsey Plum's aces, led by her, capitalized on Indiana's errors and assumed command. This game demonstrated not only Clark's fights under duress, but moreover triggered a surprising viral event, including Kelsey Plum, who discovered later on her own response to criticism for controversial remarks made during the Caitlin Clark's Fever and the game companions from the first quarter. It became apparent that Indiana was having trouble finding any attacking rhythm, almost obtaining 13 points. Kelsey Clark, generally the attacking powerhouse of the Fever, was surprisingly scoreless. During the first part, she was frustrated with a parent from the start, particularly when she had an argument with authorities and was given an error in technique that led to what an arduous evening ahead of. Her annoyance increased along with her problems on head coach Christie's sides of the court admitted to the emotional collapse. It happened early on in the match. In particular, addressing Clark's unable to get over her frustrations, Christie said that we just must make sure nothing external gets in the way. Things we cannot control, such as effect, particularly at the beginning of the game. I believe she got fouled and missed after the 2 free throws. It quiet annoyed, but the officiating at sometimes. But that's where we need to be better. And we have the ability to deal. That won't be those things. That group of men won't be flawless. Ideal, we're not flawless, but I believe we lost a little period of time with the irritation. So that's just the topic we're discussing is expanding. And then after, she arrived in the second half, and were you aware of she changed after letting things go? Player, and that you simply can't possess. Clark's maiden first quarter meltdown emerged as a crucial component in her first half. Without a goal was unexpected result for among the league's most, whereas the Aces are potential prospects. Kelsey Plum is leading the defensive pressure. Was Relis Plum, who would go on to become the focal point of a contentious. The discussion had already begun. Creating motion, assisting in the offensiveness of the Fever. Pressure increased as Clark struggled, missing a few crucial shots, and her dissatisfaction persisted. Even Clark's battles with the illness were very endeavor to reduce the disparity in the second 20 LET points on half of Kelsey Mitchell, the attacking thrust by Indiana, but it wasn't sufficient to defeat the Aces. Clark, whilst her score kept rising as she continued to one of the game's crucial mistakes. Important events occurred in the third period, during which Clark tried to make room so that a shot charged into a defender, leading in a foul on the attack. This error changed the momentum in addition to favoring the AC, but furthermore aggravating Clark was irritated. Clark's failed free throw, the last-minute throws, were maybe the clearest indication of her struggles. Clark is the second highest percentage shooter while making free throws throughout the season. But this matchup clearly caused her to crumble under the strain, and her lost chances turned into the game's pivotal moment. According to Clark, the ball in the post-game interview wasn't rolling in my direction at the start of the game. I'm happy with myself, and I felt like we were a very good team. Robust. There were few items that things didn't quite go our way. But in general, I believe we sort of did it to ourselves. And as I've already said, I'm gratified with our defense, but there was only places in which you may be informed little better than made in execution. Furthermore, to these missed free throws damaged not only her self-esteem, but also proven expensive for the person with Fever. Where at a close range from the Aces, the Fever was still having trouble because too inadequate guidance and seemed illiterate. Kelsey Plum's combative style of play and the capacity to make clutch shots helped maintain the supreme authorities. Yet, although Plum's on-the-court performance was generating news, her halftime remarks would shortly rule social media platforms around. The Plums said in a halftime interview, what many are expressing is an honest reaction when questioned how the Aces had held the sickness that reduced Caitlin Clark to only 13 points in the first frame and 35 in just half of. Kelsey said, "Okay, Kelsey, let's begin with protection. You have only 13 fever points per quarters. What appeals to you about the manner in which your group performed there among the sphere? I dunno. Get back to me later. This spontaneous statement was soon becoming viral, with some criticizing her reaction not lengthy, but it was dismissive, even harsh. Prior to Kelsey needing to handle the reaction, as followers of Caitlin Clark were beginning to regard this personally. In response to the criticism, Plum clarified her justification by stating, and, well, I felt like we did a fantastic job individually, but Kelsey Mitchell was while cooking. She also developed a crush on me. I said to myself, I don't want to say anything foolish, so I told them to come back. Afterwards, Kelsey also stated to me the reason for her seldom using social media every single time, Mrs. Kell, which is why Sherry, not that I use social media at all, my phone, no. What she requested was to be okay. She thought, wow, anytime, Indiana. Makes a dash. You two simply do what you like, figure out a means to return. And I feel like I mean no harm intended, but as we've nice, I hope, and not like insulting. But you already know that stating that, for example, our rivals, yes, like a pick. That's the one I intended to say like that was, well, you know, she's constantly on me. What individuals nowadays just don't say the truth, as in, am I wrong, kid? Why? Like, because there are moments when I feel like I'm insane. Not that I'm crazy insane. Consider basketball to be a running game, and hence, you would think we would return. So, but others saw her remarks as the contemptuous Plum explained that her purpose was by no means impolite, only being cautious so as not to minimize the efforts made by Fever, especially those of having made life easier. Kelsey Mitchell, challenging for the aces in both directions of the court, then declared that she didn't want to utter a phrase that would cause her to issues with the supporters of Caitlin Clark. Things got worse for Caitlin Clark as after her onslaught, the game continued. Afterward, she showed signs of visible frustration, arguing and battling the officials, struggling to keep her cool following obtaining an additional technical foul. Clark was rested during crucial parts of the match, preventing her comrade's star from shining player at crucial times. The Clark's the reason for emotional outbursts. It is something for her to pass up possibilities. They have experienced continuous fire, which is beginning to affect her in general. The performance coaches' sides highlighted the stating that emotional restraint is necessary. Simply put, we must ensure that we keep external stuff out of our way. Authority over, say, how it affects us in particular. I believe, in the game, you know, she was fouled and missed those two, I guess, free throws, and after that you've got annoyed that the officiating it sometimes, but that's where we need to improve. And we must let you know that take care of such matters. It won't be that group of men won't be flawless. Ideal we're not flawless, but I believe we lost a little period of time with, you know, the irritation. So that's just the topic we're discussing is expanding. And then after, she arrived in the second half, and were you aware if she changed after letting things go? Player, and you know that you simply can't. During the first quarter of Clark's unable to control her feelings, left a notable disparity in the team's spirits, and without her direction, Indiana struggled. On the ground at last, Plum was done. The match with 18 points, a game-high plus 17 ranking, which strengthens her function as a vital member of the AC's capacity to maintain equilibrium under fierce competition. With her raw, honest attitude, set her apart in both situations. Personality and performance. But for this Caitlin Clark with the Indiana Fever, the game is going to be a painful reminder of the emotional restraint and poise need to reach the pinnacle of success. While there is no denying Clark's talent, lack of emotional self-control costs. Meantime, Kelsey, the Fever, dramatically Plum's performance and aptitude for managing the internet reaction highlights the significance of keeping poise active on both, in addition to off the court, where Caitlin may take notes on the temperature and Caitlin Clark muses on this setback, seeing how we'll evaluate their capacity to act as a team, as there were several gaps in their weak coaching staff. Thus, with the game plan as the playoffs approach, it makes us ponder if the Fever may possibly anywhere close to being capable of defeat the Aces, as they are a well-oiled machine, or if they'll stay a machine owing to poor play, superior teams coaching.